WPFW 89.3, 10:55 in the nation's capital, and right about now we're gonna start our introduction to our DC legend, Mr. High, H-Y. Let me see what I got here about Mr. High. I know I got some stuff about him somewhere. Hold up. Get it together. Okay. Our DC legend today is an everything man. He's been a tailor, a soloist, nightclub manager, program director, had a limousine service, a transportation franchise, was a road manager, still an MC, comedian, magician, photographer, radio DJ, club DJ, owner of the Sweet Potato Pie Company, a butcher, a baker, a candlestick maker, and the only one I'm kidding about is the candlestick maker. But give him some time and he may be doing that too. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, kings and queens, I present to you another DC legend, my main man, Mr. High.
Good morning, Maniac. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How was that for an introduction?
Oh, that was an introduction, brother. Hey, I was excited to be here on the House of Soul with man. Great job there. You didn't miss anything, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but anyway, we're gonna play another song before we go into the top of the hour. But I just wanted to bring you on now because I know we don't have enough time to go through all of these contributions you've made to society that I just mentioned. So try to briefly just tell us about, let's just go to the beginning of how Mr. High got started.
Well, how Mr. High got started, really in 1963, late 1963, I put together a group called the Young Senators Today, but it didn't start out that way. We were originally called the Dimensions. And in 1966, when we were in the studio recording our second record, I got a letter back at my office from the Fifth Dimension telling me that I need to find a new name. And then we were in the studio and came up with the Young Senators. A lot of people think it's about the baseball team, but it's really not. We started out in 64, 65, playing on Capitol Hill for the Senate. We played for the Proxmires, the Kennedys, the Shrivers out there in McLean, Virginia. We made a lot of money out there in the early years. So in 1966, we changed the name to the Young Senators.
Okay, and were you were the manager, or?
I'm the manager, and myself and Frank Hooker came up with the name Young Senators.
Oh, well, Frank Hooker was in that too?
Yeah,
okay.
He was a part of the name of the group. The group started when Leroy Fleming had played with the Soul Searchers. It played with the Young Senators first, and then on to do Busting Loose with Chuck Brown. When I started the group, he was 14 years old.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, nobody had a driver's license. They'd pick him up and drop him off and take him back to school, and it was quite a job.
So you were doing everything?
Yeah, everything, man, and getting that group started. It's very talented. I never wanted to be in that business, really, but my next-door neighbor came to me and said, well, my girlfriend's got a son that has a little group, and they're very talented. They talked to me about it 6 months before I really went out to hear them, and I was so impressed, and went on to be the Young Senators, man.
Okay, we're going to come back and talk some more about the Young Senators, because they weren't just the Young Senators. They was also a studio group for somebody else we're going to talk about when we come back. But this song that you brought in here for me today, tell me about this before I run it.
Well, this song was really our second, actually our third song. Our first song was recorded in 1966. It was called Seventh and T, the original instrumental of Seventh and T right there at the Howard Theater. And then our second song was called Ringing Bells. Okay. And Ringing Bells came out in 1968. And the one you're getting ready to play is called Jungle. That came out in late 69 and was number 5 on the chart. WL, thanks to people like Bobby Bennett. Now, everybody remembers that name.
Right, yes, it did.
Very instrumental in making it happen for the Young Senators.
All right, okay. Well, here it is. This is Jungle? Jungle by the Young Senators. Take 'em back, Maniac. All right, WPFW 89.3. It's 11:04 in the nation's capital. The world listens to Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. The nation's capital listens to WPFW 89.3, House of Soul. Musically yours, Maniac, with my D.C. legend in the house, Mr. H.Y. High. Okay, we were just talking to Mr. High about his beginnings and the Young Senators. Okay, Mr. High, take us to when the Young Senators started working for this young man that we got playing in the background.
Well, the Young Senators split for me in late 1971 and went with Eddie Kendricks, and I understand they were one of the first groups out of Washington, D.C. to record with Motown and backing up Eddie Kendricks and traveling and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, now go on and take us into the next steps of Mr. High after he was done with the Young Senators. After they kicked him to the curb to go with Eddie Kendricks.
Yeah, that's
basically what it is. Yeah. That's putting it like
for real. I'm telling you now, lost a lot of money and a lot of time, but I have no regrets.
Right.
Now, in 1972, this whole thing with disco came about, and everybody said there's no way people would listen to a disc jockey play music all night long, and Washington, D.C. was one of the first areas I started at the Room. With Chad Fentress and a whole bunch of guys down there. We put some lights under the dance floor, and because before that, the club was like a whole bands, the Stylistics. I was the MC first, and the Stylistics and other groups like Blue Magic and Tavares and all those groups came in there. And then when they built the Mark IV, then the Room became a disco club. And here I was, playing records all night long, and I understand you were a teenager, and you shouldn't have even been there.
I was 18. That was the first club I ever went to, man, and you were the first DJ that I ever saw playing music, man.
Hey, I'm impressed.
Yeah, I was 18 years old. My girl was just turned 18, and we went out to the Room for the first time, and we came in there, and you had us. No, doing the twist. I said, doing the twist. And I said, man, the twist was out back in 1959. Here we 18 years old, and you had us out there doing the twist and the jerk and the swim and all that stuff that they were doing back in the late 50s and early 60s. But we had a ball.
Yeah, the Room was it was called the Rocket Room at first, but then we dropped the Rocket and and just called it the Room. But those were some great years, and a lot of spin-offs from that. Later on, we're going to talk about a few things, but I'm trying to wrap 50 years of entrepreneurship into 25 minutes. But Washington, D.C. was one of the first places and the only place that had a disco academy. A guy named David Sims wrote the whole concept of, and it was called the Metro Disco Communications Academy out of Washington. We contacted students from all over the world, and I was the program director. Disc jockey named Marlon was the lead person, and we were up there on Wisconsin Avenue. Man,
all right,
in Georgetown, and this was the first academy of this type. And it really made some noise there. We got people from Baltimore, from Richmond, coming into Washington to attend this academy. So, but then from there out to the Quonset, and from the Quonset in 1968. By the way, Smitty the Mighty Blazer started a company called the Super Disco Jocks.
Yeah,
it was Super Disco Jocks on one side and Hollywood Breeze with the Street Jocks on the other side.
Music Unlimited Street Jocks.
Music Unlimited Street Jocks, and we had about 25 DJs in each stall. Man, I know I had 25. I was the program director. Smitty the Mighty Blazer was the president. David Sim was the director. Located right there on Vermont Avenue and K Street, man. We made things happen. To be honest with you, the radio stations, we were playing so much music that all the record companies sent the music in to me. I distributed out to the DJs, and every Monday, the radio stations would call us to get the feedback on what they should play from what we were playing, and we had a lockdown on all the clubs. French Underground.
Yeah.
That's a whole Black Tahiti of course, the Mark IV and all the other clubs.
Caesar's Palace,
Caesar's
Sagittarius.
Palace. Yes, and we also played a lot. We did a lot of mobile DJing. Smitty, Mighty Blazer, T, Mr. T, and all those guys. We would get the van out there. I worked for an old company called Track Auto and played for the grand openings of these kinds of places. It was a moment that and a time that we didn't even know what we really had. It was a great happening for the 70s and eased right on into the 80s.
All right. Okay. When you talk about this Super Disco Jug, just can you name some of the clubs that you actually played in? Because I know and I mean because your history with DJing extends from the 60s up to presently. So just run them down.
Well, okay. I started at the Room. Went to open a club called Quonset. Then came back to DJ at the Mark IV. Went back to the Quonset. Left the Quonset. Went to the Oak Tree. Played at the Oak Tree for 12 years. Then a club across the street opened called CJ's. Played there for 6 years, and spent my last 14 years in the club scene at the Club Elite, located out there on Brinkley Road. Okay. And now I'm playing almost 3 times a month. Private things like birthday parties and class reunion. Just played at class reunion down in Myrtle Beach 2 weeks ago. 2 nights down there. So. Playing Winston-Salem, North Carolina often. Been playing there since 1996. So just trying to make it happen.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We have another guest lady in the studio. Her name is Karen Wilson. She used to be, we used to call her a special case. She was a DJ. You know what she told me one time?
What?
She told me, she said, "Maniac, you're going to be playing music sitting in a rocking chair as an old man." I said, "No, I'm not either." But guess what? I think she meant you.
Well, you know, I mean, the second time I cried as a man when you quit the business.
Oh, well,
really?
I didn't quit. I just,
we miss you, man. Between here and New York City, man, the mixologist. You were great at your craft, and everybody wanted you. And then one day you said, "I'm retiring." How you gonna retire?
I stopped at the top of my game.
I'm gonna retire when they stop making music.
Yeah, but no, I just decided to just stop because I had other things that that were more of a priority to me. Like my child, I had an infant child at home, and I didn't want to do that in a family. So
now that the child is grown, and so maybe
so
we can get you to come back.
Well, no, I ain't coming back. I'm only like to do radio. I'm radio now.
Oh, radio! I hear you.
That's what I'm doing at radio.
Okay.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the Young Senators wasn't the only band that you managed. You got into another group. Tell us about that one.
Okay, my second group was the second group was Scacey and the Sound Service.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I understand you had Scacey.
Yeah, we had Scacey
a few weeks ago. Immediately after the Young Senators, I went on the road with Scacey and the Sound Service. And was another very talented group, and Scacey's back in the business now. He said the other night he's after working a job for a while and retiring. Now he's back on the scene again, and I'm very happy for him. But then my third group was Black Heat. Now Black Heat came between all this DJing. I was matter of fact, I was manager of the Mark IV.
Okay.
For almost a year, and a guy named Raymond Green came down and offered me a job.
It's King.
Making about $100 more than I was making at the Mark IV. I gave the Mark IV 2 weeks notice. Went on the road again, and at the time, Black Heat had a record out called "Never No Time to Burn."
Oh yeah.
It was a super hit, man, all over the world. And we went out there and made a lot of money with them, and stayed with them about a year and a half. I decided to come back to DJing. So. Here I am, and then in the meantime, we haven't talked about the Sweet Potato Pie Company.
Okay, well, I don't want to get to that yet, because that's what you're doing right now. If we're skipping some stuff, I want to talk about. I understand you were a radio, because I just want y'all to know that's why I call it the everything man. You didn't left out the radio part. Let's talk about the radio station that you worked at.
In 1990. Moon Man came to me at one of my shows, and he said, "Mr. High, you should be on radio." I said, "I think you're right. I think I should be on radio too. What can we do about it?" He said, "I'll tell you what. Why don't you come down to WL and to sit with me for a couple of weeks, and let's see what happens. And sure enough, after about a month, I did the on-air tests and passed.
Okay.
And I stayed with WL from 1990 until 1994 when it became All Talk Radio. And what my job was over there is I covered all the guys that took vacation: Mo Better Man, Moon Man, and a brother that's God bless him, he's gone on now. Johnny D was his name. So I worked all three of those guys' shows when they're on vacation or just wanted a night off. And that was a great experience working with Miss Kathy Hughes.
All right, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Okay, now, we can go ahead now. I mean, this other stuff that I didn't even know about you. I didn't know you was a magician. If I'd have known that, I would have asked you to do me some favors. I would have asked you to help Rope and Breeze disappear.
Trick them into disappearing.
Yeah,
well,
believe that.
Well, that's another part. Okay. The magician thing came about. I was working in a department store part-time, and there was an older gentleman there would come in and do a lot of hand tricks and all that kind of thing. And he said, you look like you like what I'm doing, so if I'll teach you to do this. And I said, well, how much is it going to cost? He said, I'll give you a lifetime for $300.
Whoa.
And believe it or not, I worked with him for about 4 or 5 months, and I started doing my own shows. So I did magic for about 12 years, and I still do magic, not as often as I used to, but I used to do it more or less around Halloween time and Christmas time for special parties and that kind of thing. But I still do magic. Enjoy it a lot. I do about 40 different acts of magic.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, what about the comedian part?
Well, the comedian thing in around 1985, 86, maybe a little earlier than that, I was working over Quonset, and there was a guy that came in named Chris Thomas. And a lot of people know Chris Thomas around town, and he said, "Man, you MC so well and you speak so well. Maybe you'd like to get into comedy, you know." So I said, "Well, I don't know. I've never done it before." He said, "I'm going to tell you a couple of jokes, man. You go out and you put them out there." So sure enough, he gave me a couple of things. I went out and did them, and the audience was overwhelmed. And then in 1982, I believe. 1982, I recorded that album. I was doing a show, and a guy named Hilton Felden came in and heard the show, and he said, "Look, man, how would you like to go in the studio and do an album?" And I'm saying, go in the studio and do an album? I mean, this is unheard of. I said, "Who's gonna pay?" He said, "Look, all you have to do," he said, I write jokes, and I'll get them to you. You learn them, and let's." And we went in the studio down on Connecticut Avenue, and did 2 hours straight head with a live audience, and then it was they edited it down to an album. So this was my first album, and I think it came out in 1982.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I still do that a little bit sometime, but you can't do everything, man. So
I can't tell. You look like you're trying to do every blank thing.
But I would say this journey, man. That I have a brochure out. It's called "Who is Harry Young?" And there's people. Well, how do you come up, Mr. High? Well, Mr. High comes from my initials. Right.
I keep telling people they ain't that kind of high that you read. Snorting and smoking, all that. This is the HY high.
HY, and when I started down at the Room many years ago, they said Harry Young that's too long.
Yeah.
So right. Come up with something. So came Mr. High, and I played to more than 3.5 million people in the last 45, 50 years. You know.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Okay. Now let's get to. Talking about High, let's talk about High's Pies and that sweet potato company. Now you can go ahead and run that.
Well, it's a real long short story. Actually, when I was a tailor by trade, while I was in tailoring school, there was a store of a lot of people in Washington. If you remember, a store called Woodward and Lothrop, and they cut it short and called it Woody's. Called it Woody's. Yes. So in 1959. This is a long time ago. I don't know, 1959. But anyway,
I was only 4 years old.
Yeah, you were 4 years old. When I was 18 years old, Woody's hired me as their pie specialist. young guy, man. You know, they trained me how to make. They made about 16 different kinds of pies, and my job was to just make the batter. I didn't cook pies. Just make, put all the ingredients in, and I did that for a couple of years. And their sweet potato pie came out of the can, and I said one day I'm going to start me a company, because see, I ran a farm in South Carolina. I said I'm going to have fresh potatoes every day. But I said, yeah, you're going to start a sweet potato pie company, right? But anyway, today it's a very very lucrative business, not as much as it should be with this economy we got right now. But I've been in the business since 1977. I've been making sweet potato pies, and then I added on a cake company. So we make 16 different kinds of cakes, including we make 33 things with sweet potatoes. And sweet potatoes is very good for you. The potassium. It's just a great thing to eat. Once in a while I'll put one on and just let it bake and put a little butter on it and eat it just like that. But we have right now we service in the Washington area. We service 16 restaurants and 2 in Baltimore. 16 in the Washington area and 2 in Baltimore. Now where can you go get some of the sweet potatoes?
That's what I was going to ask you. Well, wait a minute. Before you tell us that,
yes.
I want you to tell us what makes High's Pies and Pastries unique and different from the other bakers.
What makes it different is that we use absolutely no raw milk. In the sweet potato pie, we make it with absolutely no kind of dairy, no butter, no cream, no milk, no oil. Make it without all of that, and it has the taste and the smell that it's all there.
Right, yeah. Well, I know.
It doesn't give you gas and bloating and all that stuff, and heartburn and all that. It's all natural, So that's what makes us different. I started testing the recipe without all those things in it about 14 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
And we've been doing it ever since without raw milk.
Okay. Well. Okay, now having said all of that, because I can vouch for it. I'm because I get them every time every Thanksgiving, Christmas. You used to bring me and my wife something every Christmas and Thanksgiving. Yeah, but lay that.
And I also want to tell everybody that I've been married. Some people say I've been married about 10 times, but I've only been married 3 times. But
you need a calculator.
I've been married to my last wife for now 8 years, and she was a great inspiration to the business because she came up with the recipe for the sweet potato cookies, the sweet potato ice cream, the sweet potato butter, the sweet potato pound cake, the sweet potato waffles. A lot of things we make with sweet potato.
So basically what you're saying, behind every great man there's a great woman.
There's a great woman.
What's her name?
Yeah, her name is Mary.
Mary?
Mary, yes. Mary
Okay.
Harrison Young. And she's the one that, she said, I got to have that pound cake. She's the one that comes up with all the recipes for that.
That's right. Get that woman credit, boy. That's what I'm talking about.
For the sweet potato product. And that sweet potato ice cream, you haven't had it yet, but I've got to make sure you get some.
Okay. Yeah. Now that you done said all that, I know you're gonna have another honeymoon tonight, boy. You working it. You really trying to have a good night now. You do your thing, Mary.
Well, the important thing is you got to have a partner, man, because and we don't. A lot of people think that I'm that I live in Washington, but we actually live in York County, right outside of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and that sounds like it's far, but it's really not that far.
Well, it's 110 miles.
110. Oh, okay.
110 miles, okay. And I come to Washington twice a week. And if I have a DJing job on the weekend, I'm here on Saturday, like I'm playing here tonight.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
Yeah, so
you just hang out for the weekend.
Yeah, hang out for the weekend, Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, let's see. Well, what contact information would you like to share with our audience on experiencing Mr. High's Pies and Pastries and your entertainment skills as a DJ or MC, whatever because you do a little everything. You did a couple of Christmas parties for my people at the patent office.
No question about
it. So he's going to give the contact for High's Pies and give the contact for if they want you to DJ, entertainment, whatever you want to give out.
Well, it make it real easy. I have one number. It's 301-520-8223. Now that's the one number, and we have a fax number, and that's 717-266-4320. That's the fax number. And if you want to email me, the email number email address is mrhy222 at AOL.com.
Okay, that's Mr. High, MRHY, all one word.
Yeah.
222.
Triple twos.
Yeah. Okay.
At AOL.
At AOL.com. Okay.
Yeah. And we're starting. Matter of fact, we're starting right now to take orders for Thanksgiving, and our cutoff date is the 17th. If your order's not in by the 17th of November, it's a good chance you may not get potato pies and cakes and all that kind of thing.
All right, yeah, and trust me, I'm telling you, hey, you got, when Thanksgiving is, you think your Thanksgiving been right, you got to add on a pie, the highest pie or pastry. I'm just telling you, boy, you talking about putting icing on the cake, highest pies do it for you.
Well, you know, this coming Wednesday we're with Hollywood Breeze.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
With Hollywood Breeze.
Yeah, that's why I've been coming up to Breeze Country too, just so I can give me some of them cakes and pies you be bringing up there. I didn't want to say that, but
you don't say that.
Yeah, I don't give a blank about seeing Breeze. I'm coming in to get some cake and some food. You see what I'm saying?
And
the people, the people up there, yeah. Okay, man. Well, on behalf of James Funk and myself here at WPFW, the House of Soul, we want to give you honors and praises for being one of the great D.C. legends of Washington, D.C. We ain't got no plaque or no certificate to give you, right? Because we poor. But we still just want to know it's in our hearts, and we honor you as now being inducted into the Hall of Fame here at the House of Soul.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, I let James Funk know I'm really sorry to miss him, because I listen to you guys every Saturday, man. Just the light makes my day, it makes my weekend, that kind of thing, So I'm very, very pleased that you all had me on today.
Okay.
And just to let America know what I've been doing for the last 50 years.
Oh, yeah, good gracious.
Thank you so much.
All righty, okay. Well, meanwhile, back at the ranch, you're at WPFW House of Soul. We're going to let my girl Millie Wood tell y'all about a little things about what's happening on our calendar here, and then we're going to go into our DJ mix, and so we're going to jam on some more with the House of Soul. Once again, thank you, Mr. H.Y.
Thank you.
All right.
Hi, this is Millie Ware, the producer of the R&B Oldies Calendar. The R&B Oldies Calendar is here.